Welcome to the 2024 Smithsonian National Education Summit. This session is a special pre-recorded opportunity to connect with education resources and initiatives. The presentation is also part of a larger lineup of over 40 sessions that include Smithsonian educators, classroom teachers, and leading education organizations and partners. This session is part of the Inclusive Storytelling track, which emphasizes the importance of diverse perspectives in storytelling. My name is Katrine Kat Halpern. I'm a project director at the Smithsonian Institution Traveling Exhibition Service. Allow me to introduce my other colleagues, Ed Liskey, as well as our special guest, Valencia Abbott, an educator with extensive classroom experience as a social studies teacher who's joining us from North Carolina. Today we'll be discussing the free Smithsonian posters that are available for your classroom. Here again, our speakers, myself, Valencia Abbott, and Ed Liskey. Let's take a look at the storytelling that we'll be doing over the next 30 minutes. We're going to be introducing the free poster exhibitions and our resources. We're going to share examples how they are used by teachers in their classrooms. We're going to also share some other creative uses for these resources. We're going to tell you a little bit about how these free exhibitions become available and how they are created. And then we'd also like to hear from you. So let's take a look at what Smithsonian Institution Traveling Exhibition Service creates as far as free poster exhibitions. The poster exhibitions are available all over the United States and even internationally. This particular slide shows the distribution of where teachers are currently using our poster exhibitions. And you can see it's rather busy in California, but that just has to do with the large size of the state. We're not marketing specifically to California. They're available everywhere. Let's take a look at how you can find them on our site's website. If you click on exhibitions and then poster exhibitions, you can see all of the various poster exhibitions that are available to you right now. Click on any one that you like. Let's take a look at Votes for Women, perhaps. You'll be able to see wonderful images from the exhibition, a description of the poster exhibition, and then as you scroll down, detailed thumbnails of each of the available posters. If you click on any one of those, it'll expand to show you the larger file. And then you can request the materials. If they're available in hard copy, which is only at the beginning of each run of a poster exhibition, you'll have the option of selecting between hard copy or the digital files. Otherwise, they're available for free download. But it's important to remember that when you do a free download, you will have to go and print them in some way, whether that's at your school or have them printed by a company. And unfortunately, that's something that at the moment we can't subsidize. All of the poster exhibitions come with a user guide and manual, which also includes some promotional materials should you like to use them. And there's also education resources that accompany each poster exhibition. And those often include something associated with the Smithsonian's Learning Lab. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Smithsonian Learning Lab, it's the Smithsonian's free digital platform for all things education. You don't need to pay for it, but you do need to sign up with an account so that you can pull together the resources that you'd like to use and manipulate them in a way that's best for your classroom. And there's all sorts of resources about that, even in this extended National Education Summit. So with these poster exhibitions, topics that need more exposure is something that we really want to focus on in this inclusive storytelling section. So let's take a look at some of the examples of our poster exhibitions. This first one, Pollination Investigation, is a beautiful illustrated poster exhibition that is available both in English and Spanish. And here are just two examples of the posters. You'll see that the entire set is 28 posters. It's rather large, but it has beautiful illustrations. And as I mentioned, these can be used not only in a science setting, but they can also be used for close observation, art classes where you could talk about scientific illustration. And here's another example from the Forest Grove High School in Oregon, where the posters were used in a hallway to designate a departmental area and to bring some real interest to what otherwise would have been a rather blank wall. Valencia, I think you also have some examples of using the pollination posters.
Yes, thank you, Kat. I am a social studies teacher. One of the things that I did when I received these posters, well, the email for these posters, is that I shared it with my community partners. One of them being the Dan River River Keepers, and the other one, Teachers on the Trail, which both organization works with environment and being outdoors and have programs geared towards children. And I thought that this would be an absolutely perfect integration of what they're doing with these posters.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing it with your community. The poster exhibitions are also used by many teachers as a bridge between history and current events. So here's another example of one of those exhibitions. This is Righting a Wrong, the Japanese Americans and World War II. It's a beautiful exhibition that combines both archival images as well as art pieces and images of objects that are in the Smithsonian's collections. Again, it has a variety of different uses, not just in a history setting. Here's an example from the William Allen High School in Allentown, Pennsylvania, where the posters were displayed in a case in a hallway, and the teachers actually augmented the exhibition with objects from their local community, including this beautiful kimono. We absolutely love hearing that our poster exhibitions help spark conversations in the classroom. So with that, another example that we'd like to share with you is Votes for Women, a Portrait of Persistence. This particular exhibition was created in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. Again, it combines beautiful photographs, artwork, as well as photographs of objects in the Smithsonian collection to tell the story of how women got the vote in the United States. And here in New Jersey, you can see that the exhibition was also put into a case, but it was combined with photographs from the local community, as well as various resources that tie into that particular community's work and also current resources for voting. Now, I'd like to introduce you again to Valencia Abbott, who will share a little bit more about how she uses the poster exhibitions in her own classroom.
Thank you, Kat. I want to start by sharing that I have 20 years experience in the classroom, and that a lot of that is using the resources from the Smithsonian, and especially the posters, because I have the tendency to switch out my walls and posters every semester. I want to start with I think the biggest benefit for me with the posters starts with before they come up on the wall, and that is with my lesson planning. The posters are packed with so much information, and a lot of it I am not aware of. And also that it has the citations and references, and it's from a vetted source. So I know that I'm getting the correct information to my students. So, like I said, before I even put them up on the wall, this is where I start. And one of my most impactful is the poster exhibit from Righting a Wrong. And that came about because I had a student that shared with me that she did not see herself in the curriculum. And I was taken back, but not to the point that I wasn't going to take action. So it happened at the same time that this was shared with me, the posters came out, and I definitely used them many times through the years in my classroom. And also around this time, there was a PBS documentary on Asian Americans. So with the posters, the documentary, and my own additional research, I definitely know that I am adding to students seeing themselves, no matter who they are in my classroom. This particular poster exhibit, is important because one of the things that I've learned over the years is that females, are represented less than 10% in history textbook, which is a disturbing fact. And in my school, the female population is over 60%. With the standards, I'm not always able to cover as much as I want. I think that's with any teacher. So having the posters, whether I teach a lesson from them or whether I have a teaching moment, just having them displayed help with my guilt if I don't cover as much of women's history as I would like, or only confining it to March for Women's History Month. So I love the many examples that they give. Again, a lot of it I am just not aware of. So that being seen is important. Just the placement of the posters for all of my students. And then one of the things that I really love was this poster commemorating the 19th Amendment, the anniversary of the 19th Amendment. And one, just from it being so large in the classroom, that it came outside of the classroom. And I was able to engage more than just those students that just walked through my doors. And with that, I was able to create protocols and lessons to get physical movement inside my classroom. I would create activities where they would come, they would inspect the panels of the information. They would take it back to their desk, group work, really an insightful time with that poster exhibit. But not only that one, but with most of the posters exhibits, you can do that. Another thing with this particular poster was because it was commemorating the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, History Club use this as the focus to entice other students into History Club. And it was also during the pandemic. So our use of social media and to get it out, and just the poster being so big, it was just really a lot the students gravitated towards. And I was really thankful for that. It was a marvelous poster that I still continue to use in my classroom. Now I would like to hand it over to Ed, who will go over additional uses for posters and exhibits.
Thank you, Valencia. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to share some other ways that our posters have been displayed by a variety of organizations to hopefully give you some other ideas on how you might use them. So the first one I'm going to share is called Sounds of Religion Poster Exhibition, which is about the sounds of a wide variety of religious worship around the world. And this image is from when it was displayed at Michigan State University Museum. They displayed it in a hallway and they enlarged the intro poster there and applied it with vinyl on the wall. Another image on the left of it displayed in the hallway. And then on the right is an image of a case that they added with objects from their collection that related to the topic. And so this is a example of how you might be able to show objects from your community or from your students in addition to our poster exhibit to make it more three-dimensional. Another exhibit I'd like to mention is called City of Hope, Resurrection City and the 1968 Poor People's Campaign, which explores Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s final social justice campaign to address poverty in America in the 60s. It features 18 posters. And this is an image of when it was displayed at the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in their gallery walk, which was an area in which many people have to travel between terminals. And I believe Valencia wanted to add something about the City of Hope poster exhibition when she heard about it.
Yes, as we was going through the presentation, one of the things that clicked with me is that I work with many community partners as a teacher in my district, and also that is a agenda on our teacher evaluation. They want to know, how are you working with your community? And when I saw the many ways that these are displayed, I was like, oh, this is something that I can share with the NAACP, our local branch. This is something that I can share with the outdoor organizations that I worked in. I was just thinking of so many ways that I could make connections, and above all, the local museum that I work with. These will be ways to bring the classroom outside of those four walls. So I just thank Ed for sharing that with us.
Great, thank you. So another exhibition that we offer is A Place for All People, introducing the National Museum of African American History and Culture, which is about their collection, the opening of the museum, and African American history in general. Features 20 posters. And here's an image of it displayed at LaGuardia Airport in Queens in an kind of an open atrium area. And you can see here it was displayed on freestanding walls. One of our exhibits called Destination Moon, the Apollo 11 mission, which is about the history of the Apollo 11 mission and the first lunar landing. It features 7 posters. These are some images of the posters themselves. And this is an image of when it was displayed at the Frost Museum of Science. They displayed it in an atrium area on these glass walls that otherwise were normally had nothing displayed on them. So they added some areas of interest for visitors as they were waiting to enter the museum, and of course shared more information about this space history. Here's another example of how the Votes for Women posters were displayed. The Historical Society of Palm Beach County, Florida, enlarged the posters and printed them on weather-resistant material and displayed them on these 4-sided freestanding structures outside of the Palm Beach County Courthouse. So that was an unusual way that one of our venues used them. And we love getting feedback from organizations that use our poster exhibitions, particularly when they mention that they're a great source of non-biased information and sources of research for students. Here's an example of another venue that hosted our Votes for Women poster exhibition in New Mexico. This was a historic house that's owned by Bernalillo County in New Mexico. And they planned a scavenger hunt in a park area and spread the posters out over a fairly wide area and made it a scavenger hunt to find all of the posters and find some information contained on each of the posters. So I'd also like to share a little bit about what we're planning in the future and how we go about deciding what poster exhibitions to do in the future. So there's a variety of factors that we consider, and these are ranked in order of importance. So first is if there's existing script, scholarship, and visual assets that we can work from. Another important factor is availability of a subject matter expert to check the script and all of the information we put on the poster, and that's either an expert at the Smithsonian or we do work with outside partners as well. We also need to identify source of funding because all of our poster exhibitions are offered for free. So we do need to identify funding for developing the exhibit, producing the exhibit, and distributing the exhibit. We also focus on the alignment with the needs of classroom teachers since over half of our post users are teachers. It's also very important that we're able to adapt the content to a visual medium. Some topics are very challenging to adapt to a poster exhibition, so we tend not to do those topics. And then lastly, we look at sites unit capacity and the capacity of our staff to produce these poster exhibitions in addition to the traveling and build it yourself exhibits that we also produce and other programs. And so we're interested in finding out what you would like to see in our future poster exhibitions, and invite you to please send me an email with your ideas. My email is liskeye@si.edu. And this illustration on the right is a word cloud describing all of our current offerings. And I'm going to turn it back over to Kat.
Thanks, Ed. And thank you very much for joining us on this exploration of how you can bring free Smithsonian poster exhibitions into your classroom or community. On behalf of Valencia Abbott, Ed Liskey, and myself, along with the larger Smithsonian education community, we hope that you enjoy the 2024 Smithsonian National Education Summit. Take care.